welcome to the Fosterdaddirective podcast. My name is Charles, and I've kind of changed how this podcast is. We're not going to solely focus on being a foster parent as much anymore. I will be going over a lot of foster parent type stuff, especially once I get listeners and get any suggestions or anything like that. So please understand that, but I will also be branching out and just doing things for being a dad in general. I know I uploaded the 2 books. I'm going to upload some of the recipes that I make. They just are easy, quick, things that will make your job as a dad a lot easier. Or if you're listening and fill in a different category, just know there'll be a bunch of different stuff. I'm going to do a few things on home maintenance because there are a lot of things that I've learned buying a house, things that I did not know that would have been beneficial. But today's episode is actually going to be child tax credits and when to claim those credits. So if that is something you're interested in, please stick around. Also know that I'm not a trained professional. The views on this podcast are mine, and especially for something such as taxes, speak to a professional. Do not take my word for it. If you're doing your own taxes, double check everything. I once messed up because of some 401k IRA information and ended up doing my taxes wrong and owed money and then got hit with fines and interest. So you will pay dearly for mistakes, and with the child tax credit, I know it's a bigger credit, so you will be hit with a fine along with a percentage of interest. And it starts to add up, especially if you don't have a ton of extra money and are relying on this credit. Even if you're desperate for it, it is not worth it in the long run to make a mistake on your taxes. So please reach out to a tax professional, look at message boards, and check everything you can before you take this credit if you are unsure. Today we'll be going off the IRS's website, so if you're looking for this, you just look under credits, deductions, individuals, and dependents. The general rules for dependents, and from my understanding in the foster care system, is 6 months. They have to be with you that 6 months and a day essentially to get you that tax credit. They must also be a U.S. citizen, resident alien, or national or resident of Canada or Mexico. They can't be claimed as a dependent on more than one tax return, except in exemptions, which is stated on the website, which is the reason you need to look into a tax professional. They can't be claimed by another dependent. You can't claim your spouse as a dependent if you're filing jointly, and the dependent must be a qualifying child or relative. And in my chaotic mind, because of the age limitation, which we're going to go over, I had almost wondered if like somebody dating a 20-year-old dating a 19-year-old, if they could technically claim that 19-year-old on their tax return. And I have no idea the true answer for it, but it almost seems like it could technically be done, not legally, but if they're not claimed by somebody else on their tax credit. So you would fail the relationship part, but I'm almost super curious if that would go through. So what is a qualifying child? They must pass all of these different things, which is why technically that situation wouldn't work right here. The relationship must be something such as son, daughter, stepchild, foster child, such as in my case, brother, sister, half siblings, step siblings, adopted child, or a child of one of these different individuals. Age, they must be under the age of 19 or under 24 if they are a full-time college student, or any age if permanently and totally disabled. Residency, they must live with you for more than that half a year, with some exceptions. So they always tell us through the foster care agency 6 months, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's 6 months and a day because it has to be more than half a year. Which if you're at 6 months and somebody else has 6 months, you're technically in the same category as them. So I'm sure there are certain rules to determine that, which is obviously the tax professional. Support, they must get more than half your financial support and joint return, not filed as married, filing jointly unless only to claim a refund of taxes paid or withheld. So there are far more rules on that. There is actually another section for this, but we're not going to go over that. I'm kind of just going over the gist of this so you know when to claim your taxes, such as if you're a single parent, foster parent, just kind of wondering what to do, what to look into to ensure you do this proper. So if you're looking into a qualified relative, you must follow these tests. They cannot be a qualifying child or qualifying child of another taxpayer. They must live with you all year as a member of your household. They have to have a gross income of under $5,050, and then they get that half of your financial support with other rules as well. And if you're looking when to claim a dependent, there are a whole bunch of different things to look into. Kind of messed that up. To look for certain tax credits and deductions. And each and every credit deduction is going to have different rules, so you're going to want to look into that specific one. There are things such as a child tax credit, adoption expenses, additional child tax credits, credits for other dependents, earned income, dependent care credits, education credits, medical expenses. Unfortunately, in this country, there are so many different taxes and tax credits and different filing statuses that it is an absolute chaotic mess, which is eventually why I want to do I can't remember the exact name of it right now, but it is where the government has all of your documents and knows all of your credits, your deductions, incomes, money you've made that's been reported. So technically, there isn't much of a reason for us to need to go through the rigmarole of going through a tax professional and having to file our taxes, and especially because every one you go to is going to give you a different amount. If you do it yourself, you're going to get a different amount. And the government technically already has all this information. I've always been baffled since I learned about this concept. And I believe it was a YouTube series called Adam Ruins Everything. I'll have to look into it for when I look further into this concept. But just know that is why you need to look into a tax professional. I used to do my taxes when I was single on my own. Didn't have to worry about stuff. So even when I did mess up my taxes and got hit with that fines, interest, and fees, it didn't hurt as much as it would right now. Especially if I made that same mistake right now, it would be a higher, interest amount, fees, everything like that, and hurt more financially, expecting that money to be usable and then having to, return it in a year with all this extra money on top of it. So it may cost more to have someone file your taxes and eat up a chunk of what you're getting back, but in the long run, if you have a whole lot of different things you're claiming, such as home interest, student loan interest, different deductions, credits, make sure you're doing your due diligence and getting all this taken care of, because you don't want that financial bill, especially with the way incomes and everything are so low right now. Make sure you take care of yourself in the long run and dodge making those mistakes. In this one instance, you can take my word on it. It's not worth messing up your taxes. It hurts a lot more in the long run. So as always, I want to thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share. You can email me at fosterdaddirective@gmail.com. Send me feedback, ideas, stories, anything you're interested in, any hints you have for other dads. I put that in quotation marks, parents in general. Something that helps you help your kids. Because, let's be honest, they are going to be the ones guiding this chaotic world, so let's try to give each other an edge up for making successful little people and turning them into successful adults that, don't make your and other people's lives chaos. Let's help give them that successful start and turn them into the beautiful, successful individuals that we know they can be. As always, I hope your kids' chaos can be funny after 5 minutes and not 5 years. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.